Hey, thanks for listening to The Create Unknown. To unlock the extended bonus conversation, sign up at patreon.com/thecreateunknown. Now, on with the show. Do they call them stories on Snapchat? I don't use it either.
Probably snaps.
Snappy chatties.
Chatters.
Chat.
Hey, welcome to The Create Unknown. I am Kevin Lieber. With me, as always, is Matthew Tabor. Matt, tell me something.
I've got two things to tell you. Which one do you want first? Do you want the one that has to do with you, or do you want one that has to do with a celebrity?
Let's go celebrity first.
Okay. So as you know, about a week ago, I was in Armenia with my very close personal friend, Kim Kardashian. And she was talking in an interview on stage about something. And she said something that totally blew me away, and I know you don't know it. She was talking about her story, and she said, I knew when I was 11 years old that I wanted to be a reality TV star. How crazy is that?
What reality TV existed when because she's our age, I believe. So what?
Yeah, I mean,
what reality TV was there when we were 11? Like that was
The
definitely
Real World.
That's it. Okay.
On it.
Okay.
And she mentioned that too. The Real World on MTV, which I think still happens. I think that is still on, but
I don't know.
I haven't heard anything about it in a few years, but it was crazy to think that there was basically one reality TV show. She must have been in 5th grade. Is that when you're 11? That's about 5th grade, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah.
So give or take, plus or minus. And I don't know how old she was when the OJ trial was happening. But that was, her father was involved in that.
Oh, that's right. I mean, that was probably a little bit before that, because that was pretty early.
Yeah, I think that was like 93.
Okay.
Yeah, like 92, 3, 4, something like that. So anyway, all of this is popping into my head, like combining, and I'm thinking, what was going through this 11-year-old's mind where she's seeing The Real World on MTV and then the OJ craziness, which she has a prime seat in the center of, and she comes out of it thinking, I want to do reality TV at 11.
I don't know. I mean, I think that, you always say, I want to be an astronaut or I want to be a baseball player. I know that today I want to be a YouTuber. There have been several surveys that have come out over the years that say like, that's the number one thing kids say they want to be a YouTuber. That's fascinating. I mean, she achieved her dream. So, she did it. She became a reality TV host. I mean, I can't imagine wanting to do that, but I'm not Kim Kardashian in many, many ways. So that's okay.
The foresight on that. Yeah. I mean, I can imagine like somebody saying, I want to be a YouTuber now. Well, YouTube has existed for 10 years. Like that's not crazy. Or if somebody wanted to be on reality TV now, okay, it's extremely well established. But thinking about somebody in the early 90s, kind of designing their life's path around something that doesn't really exist yet. That was nuts to me. And I hadn't heard her say anything about that in the past, but we've talked in the past about kids wanting to be YouTubers and things like that. And I was like, wow, this is such an early example of somebody latching on to that emerging thing. I was blown away by it.
When you think about it, when that came out, Kim Kardashian and her ilk must have thought a very similar thing, that people think today in terms of, hey, I could do this. Like, I don't need to be an actor. I don't need to go to school for this. These are just normal people and they get to be on TV. Wow. That seems like a really achievable goal for me. And YouTube is a very similar thing where it's like, there aren't gatekeepers. You don't have to know somebody to upload a video. You just have to have, the means to do so in terms of the equipment and an internet connection. And it is very similar. And for her, like growing up in Hollywood or whatever, and, it must have seemed like a really attainable goal for her because she must know a million people in that industry. So it makes sense. It makes sense.
Given her pedigree on both sides, I mean, extremely well connected. Oh, you lost me.
Yeah, I'm going to have to get a new converter, I guess. You're back.
Hey, yo.
What was the thing about me?
The thing about you is, first, did you get me anything? I mean, did you buy me a gift?
No, was I supposed to?
Wow. Okay. Well, we had a phone call with Dave this morning. And if this had been on your radar, I know that you would have mentioned something about it and you didn't. So means I have to point out that tomorrow is the Create Unknown's first birthday.
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, I looked up the videos because I knew it was October, right? And I'm thinking like, what portion of October was it? And so I looked back at the videos, October 25th.
Wow. Well, happy birthday to you and me and all of our listeners who have been with us since day one. That is a milestone for sure.
Yep. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a lot of episodes. Life is good. And speaking of birthdays and babies, we've got some baby stories for everybody. We sent out the baby gang got their babies. Everybody has their personalized baby with an origin story, and those are good origin stories. So, for example, Isaac has adopted a baby named Scoop Magoop, and Scoop Magoop wanted to go to California. He had an interest in gold panning, but his real interest was in escape rooms. And so Isaac is an excellent adoptive parent for a baby with that skill set and series of interests. But we want to make every baby's origin story available for everybody to read. So we can put those up on Patreon. It won't be locked. Those will be open for everybody. So go to the Patreon link, which is in the description, and just follow. You can follow along on the Patreon without subscribing. Subscribing is a superior option, I'd say. But just follow, and the public posts like those baby origin stories and some other stuff, those will roll in.
And now that the podcast is 1 year old, does that mean we can start crawling? Do we start saying like mama, dad? Like what is the developmental process of a 1 year old?
Well, I don't know. We seem to be ahead of what I think a doctor would expect from a baby, or a pediatrician would expect from a baby. I mean, the switch from formula to soft foods like sardines happened last week. And
I ate the rest of those sardines, by the way. I ate the whole can.
You ate the whole tin?
Yeah. I mean, it was open. I don't know how long sardines keep once they're open. And I was like, I mean, I don't want to throw these away. So I got some saltines and I ate the rest of the can for lunch. That happened.
Did you give any to the cat? I mean,
no, I don't. I don't feed weird things to our pets.
But it's not a weird thing. It's a little fish to a cat. Like, haven't you seen Heathcliff?
Oh man,
he's like in the back alley.
You are completely frozen right now. Oh, there you go. You're back.
Oh, now I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not weird. I mean, you've seen Heathcliff where he goes in the back alley and pulls a fish out of the garbage and like vertically strips it and the bones are left.
I have seen that. I've also seen like the coyote put on rocket skates and, like fly across the desert to try to catch a roadrunner. That doesn't mean that in real life you should do that to a coyote. So I don't want to deal with my pets having diarrhea all over the house. So they eat like very consistent food. Look, let's get into the topic of the day is what just recently happened with Vsauce 2, which is the launch of t-shirts and hoodies as well, and a poster, but really t-shirts was the focus with this. And I'd never done merch before in the history of the channel because I never felt like I had a good idea for it. I'm not really big into, I personally am not really big into just putting like logos on shirts. Even if it's like a band or a sports team that I like. Like, I don't want a shirt that's just their logo. I find it boring, honestly. It's just not very interesting. I like original artwork. I'm a huge fan of art. Like, that's pretty much what I do on Instagram is I follow artists just because I like illustrations and artwork. So when this opportunity came along through Represent, where they were really open about like, what do you want to do? They weren't like, hey, we want to just drag and drop some like pictures of you or, you know, your logo onto some shirts and throw it onto whatever old garment we have like laying in the back of the factory. They were very like, what we want to develop whatever you have in mind. And that was exciting to me because I thought for the first time, like, well, it kind of put me in a position, I should say, to think about it. Like, I wasn't really thinking about it on my own, but sometimes in life and in like creative endeavor, you sort of need somebody else to come in and say, and like poke you and say, hey, I want something out of you, creative person. Like, what do you have? And that was really the genesis of this merch with Represent.
So Represent is a company that goes to people who have sizable presences like PewDiePie. He works with Represent to do all of his merch for the 100 Mil Club. They have, their roster is amazing. Who else do you remember on there?
Oh, well, they have done a lot of, not just YouTubers. It seems like they have done more celebrities actually than YouTubers. Like Leonardo DiCaprio. A lot of it has been kind of charity focused. So, you know, it would be to raise awareness about some cause that a celebrity has. Like Kobe Bryant has been on Represent. So it's been like A-list celebrities doing limited runs of t-shirts to support some sort of cause that they have. But it seems like now they're also pivoting a bit into doing stores. PewDiePie has had a store there for a while, but it seems like Captain Sparkles is on there now.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And we'll see who else.
Yeah, they're a pretty solid operation when it comes to those things. But most of the time when there's a merch opportunity, well, like, you know, you're providing your own designs. They're really a company that prints and fulfills, and Represent seemed to do quite a bit more than that, right? They seemed to work with you pretty closely to develop the idea, to help you develop an idea around the collection of merch. So it wasn't like a couple cool designs. You started to think about a whole collection, right?
Well, that's what I wanted to do. You know, like I said before, I didn't necessarily want to have Vsauce 2 merch. I kind of wanted to have almost a new brand, like almost a new idea, you know, and that's what Woven Math ended up turning into. So that's the name of the store is Woven Math. And the idea is that the options for math inspired t-shirts are there, but they're not really my style per se, I think is a good way to put it. They're not really shirts that I personally would be excited to wear. They are very punny, which I love puns. I'm the first person to put, you know, puns in things. But when it comes to t-shirts, I think puns are the reason that puns are funny is because they're funny for a split second. It tickles your brain a little bit, but then it's over. And putting a pun on a t-shirt, it's like, all right, I get it. And now I'm over it.
I think you're being too kind on the population of math garments out there, right? I think that they exist almost exclusively on a continuum between suck and blow. Okay. Because I like a million different math pages and science pages on Facebook. Okay. So I get the ads for all the shirts, right? Like this morning, I got an ad that was like, oh, Mathmas tree, because, Christmas is coming up. It was a Christmas tree with like math symbols on it as ornaments. That's indicative of what I'm constantly seeing on websites and social media and stuff like that. So you look at it, you're like, okay, that's funny for a fraction of a split second. And then I've got this Christmas tree with like pie all over it, like Euler's number. Like I wouldn't be proud of wearing that.
To me, it seems like people who don't really like math or don't understand math, but they have this t-shirt company decide, hey, there's this whole market of people who love math out there. So let's make some math t-shirts. Oh, what is math? Let me Google it. Oh, addition and subtraction and division and pi. So let's just kind of like cram some of those symbols or make up some pie puns. And that's fine. Like, I love pie puns. Again, like I said, I like puns. But I felt like there was definitely an opportunity to do something that was different than that was more sophisticated than that was more subtle than that. There are a lot of designs that could be inspired by math that that don't smash you over the face with what it is. Like the other one I was thinking of, again, is clever. It's a glass half full. So somebody thought like, oh, the glass is half full or is it half empty? That's a really well-known concept. Well, mathematically, it's always full because half of it is full of air and the other half is full of liquid, right? And that's it. That's like the shirt. And it's like, well... Oh,
that's it? You just told me the punchline and that was it?
That's the punchline, that the other half is full of air.
I hate this. I hate this shirt. I don't want anything to do with this shirt. I just don't. I get what you're saying where like it can be fun in like a quick snap, I guess. But when you think of all the really awesome shirts that are out there, whether it's you wear a lot of them that people on YouTube have made really good designs that have some depth, whether it's like a callback to a really big video somebody had or a running gag or something that they've made this cool design with. And we've talked in the past about guys like Nerd City who put a lot of effort into both their designs and the quality of the garment and all of that. Like, it's totally possible to put that care and attention to detail into something that has to do with math and science. Just because, you're dealing with numbers doesn't mean that the design and the production has to be underwhelming, right? So I was pretty much on the outside of this process. And so it was neat to get the updates from you about working with Represent. And it was awesome when they said, let's do a thing here where you can come up with these really good designs. Where do you want to start? And how did you decide well, actually, first of all, just if you can go over where you did start. And I was going to ask, how'd you decide on those two things?
Well, first, while you were talking, I discovered the problem that I have with these shirts. Okay,
There's just problem. One. There's only one problem.
Yeah, I think so. I think that it can be distilled into one problem.
Okay.
And that is treating math as a joke.
Oh, yeah.
All of the shirts that we're talking about, it's not that I don't
Mhm.
like puns. It's not that I don't like clever jokes.
Mhm.
It's just the fact that it's treated as a joke. And it seems
Yeah.
like all of these math shirts that exist right now, they have this idea that the only way to create a math design is to create a math joke. And that's the problem that I have.
Yeah. At best, the designs that I've seen have been what I would just call goofy, where they really kind of are self-deprecating almost. You know, they make fun of themselves. It's like this works because I'm doing the pun, or I'm doing some kind of semi-idiotic but maybe a little bit charming use of whatever the math thing is. You know, pie is a great example, because there are some actually good designs having to do with pie because of the crossover with actual, pie you eat. Like that makes for good designs. The rest of math, not so much. Like I am thinking off the top of my head, the only thing that I think would be awesome is like an Edmonton Oilers jersey, but with Euler, like EULER, like Oilers number.
Yeah.
So yeah, this crossover with like a hockey jersey and a mathematician. The subset of people who would be into that is like 4.
4 Canadians.
Yeah. 4 Canadian nerds, I can imagine the conversation with the company. They're like, okay, well, we got to do the breakdown to figure out how many sizes, what quantity in each size. That's always a hard thing. And I'd just be like, well, I don't know. Let me call the 4 of them and ask what size they want. Yeah. Yeah, but you're right though about that goofiness, that kind of making fun of it a bit, and it's never serious. There's no dignity in math designs. That's how I feel about it. Is that the designs you came up with are like aesthetically dignified.
Yeah, the word I kept coming to, which is not a really, refined word, is just cool. Like, and that's such a subjective thing. And that's kind of where I started with represent, was that I showed them, and I wish that we should have had this conversation at the beginning so I could have understood better that the joke thing is what I wanted to avoid. Cause it's not like I don't like jokes. Look, if you watch my videos or you knew how I got into YouTube to begin with, I love jokes. I love comedy. Most of the people that I watch on YouTube are comedians, but I didn't like the landscape of math being treated only as a joke. I felt as though there are plenty of ways to make, like, math is cool and interesting, and nobody was really displaying that at all. So that was where I started with represent, was when, they approached me, they were like, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to make cool math shirts. I want to make serious math shirts. I want to make math shirts that aren't making fun of math because okay, I don't understand the mindset where math has to be, like you said, goofy. It's like math is really serious. It undergirds our modern world in every capacity, top to bottom. It's, kind of important to get the math right, like on an airplane, so that it doesn't crash.
Everything.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's like it's kind of a serious thing. So let's take it seriously and let's infuse kind of really cool designs. My first, and we hit it with the poster, but my first influence were things like fantasy and sci-fi, because that's what I'm really into. The artists that I follow mostly paint and illustrate like sci-fi, dystopian, or like 70s fantasy. I'm really into like Frank Frazetta sort of stuff. Mobius, Philippe Droulet. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but we hit that with the poster. So the poster of Achilles and the Tortoise is this kind of like 70s fantasy reimagination of that paradox, because it's like, look, we have this paradox of Achilles going up against this tortoise. Why don't we think about it in a way where, like, Achilles, who is an ancient, legendary, heroic warrior, is going up against this mythical tortoise that he can't seem to catch up to in, this 2,000-year-old paradox, which took, well, more than 2,000 years. It took 2,000 years for math to catch up to figuring it out. Like, that's a mind-blowing, amazing thing in human evolution, or the evolution of math and understanding the world around us. I don't know. Maybe we can create like a really cool epic design to represent that. No pun intended with represent.
Yeah, you mentioned something about how you kept thinking, I want this to be cool. And when you were talking to me about it weeks ago, you were saying, I want these designs to be standalone good. So like the shirt that you have on, which if you're listening on the audio feed, you'll have to click the links in the description so you can see what some of these designs are. If you're watching on the video feed, you can see that it's a really well-designed, aesthetically pleasing shirt.
Yeah, I'll
right?
stand up.
In terms of the colors, in terms of the concept, like, even if you didn't know at all what was happening on that shirt and what it referred to, that's a cool shirt. Like, that's something that I would have no problem putting on and wearing just because it looks good. So here's my question. You had this, you had a really difficult task that you set for yourself, which is, how do I make something like math cool? And you did it. How'd you do that? How did you reconcile these things to make the least cool thing on the planet really visually awesome?
Well, I think that the reason that we all believe that math is the least cool thing on the planet is that nobody has taken the time to represent it in a serious and cool manner. And that was kind of where I felt like, here's an opportunity to do something that I don't feel has been done justice, which is, I mean, look at what we've been doing on Vsauce 2 for a couple years now, is exactly that, is pouring over like old math texts and old math articles and research papers, and then sort of reimagining it as a more modern, compelling scenario, such as the most recent video with the cards, with Penny's game, which then turned into the Humble Nishiyama randomness game. That's just flipping a coin to begin with, or it's just, Humble Nishiyama turned it into flipping cards. But, if you just read about that, you think, okay, that's pretty interesting. When I read about it, I thought, okay, well, what could the deck of cards be that would, in it of itself, be entertaining? So that as I'm flipping cards, you're looking at cards, it's not just a standard deck of bicycle cards that everyone has seen a million times. What if the cards were memes? Because I think I can get, 52 good memes out of that everybody would recognize. And then this way, every time I pull a card, you get to be surprised by what's on it, regardless of learning the game itself. So you're going to learn the game, we're going to talk about it, but along the way, you are kind of consistently surprised with some entertaining element of it. And that could be considered silly, and I understand that. I could see how some people could see that. I could see a Vsauce 2 version of Penny's game compared to Numberphile's version of Penny's game and say, hey, you're not taking this seriously. And like Numberphile is. Like, they take it seriously. They just go straight to the math. They don't add all of this pomp and circumstance and pageantry that you do. And I totally get that, and I respect that criticism. I think there's a reason that, well, I think there's a place for both. is where I'm coming from on that. Is there is a place for both, and maybe in an audience for both. But the whole thing with Vsauce 2 to me is kind of thinking about hard math and recreational math through a lens of artistry, and for the first time doing that with t-shirts instead of videos.
How did you decide on which designs to start with? Because again, if you're just listening, check these out in the description. But there are two designs on the Vsauce 2 store with Represent Now, and Kevin's wearing one of them, which is Achilles versus the Tortoise. The other one is the Pizza Theorem, a really cool design that's based off of the thumbnail for that video. The way the pizza is cut up with the capital and lowercase letters to show the equal portions between two players, no matter where you make the first cut on that pizza. It's an awesome design. It's really good, but there are a lot of videos that could inspire designs based on what you just said, where you take this fresh approach and turn this surprising thing or this cool topic into a visual representation that is standalone cool. So was that their suggestion to start with these, or did you have the ideas, and why'd you start here?
No, they didn't have any suggestions. They were very open to working with whatever I wanted to put together. And the Pizza Theorem was honestly the first thing that I thought of, because that's a visual proof. I mean, the whole beauty of that is that it is a visual math proof. So that seemed like a no-brainer to me, because first of all, it's pizza. Everybody pretty much likes pizza, and visually it looks like a really weird way to cut up pizza, because it is. I mean, that's the point, is that you can cut up this pizza not across the diameter. You can, start it kind of anywhere on the circle and end up dividing it equally, even if it looks really strange. And a lot of the slices are really weird looking. And that was the first place that I went to with the t-shirt designs, because I just thought, I want that on a shirt. And that's really where I start with all of this stuff. I mean, when I start with a video has to be, I want to watch this video, or else I'm not going to make it. That might sound weird, but unless I want to see the thing, why bother? So, because I'm the one who has to put it together. So obviously I want to see what it's like. And it's the same thing with the shirts. It's like, well, I want to wear this shirt, so hopefully other people do too. I think they might. And we went over a couple of different versions of the Pizza Theorem shirt, where like some of the letters were colored in and that sort of thing. But I actually liked just having it monochrome. It seemed more subtle, and I don't know. I just feel like at the end of the day, I want these shirts to be something that people pull out of the drawer whenever it's clean first, because I have a lot of t-shirts, and guess what? There are a lot of shirts that are kind of at the bottom of the list of, unless everything else is dirty, I'm not putting that thing on, whether it's because the cut is weird or it's really hard and like, it's like sandpaper to wear the thing, or like the ink is really thick and is like chafing me. Yeah. Like there are a lot of reasons to not wear a shirt. And I wanted to make sure I gave people every reason to want to wear the shirt first.
That was the next step, because as you're working out these designs with them and coming up with the artwork and making the tweaks, because it takes, 17 rounds of 17 rounds of working out those details. Then you've got the second part, which is the actual garment that it's going on. I mean, did you have options for that? Did you have, was there just one thing that it was like, okay, you've got X number of colors and it's going to be on this one shirt? Or did you have a say in choosing the actual garment?
No, I had a say. Well, I made sure that I had a say. If I didn't have a say and they were just going to print it on the cheapest garment available, I wouldn't have moved forward with the project. Because part of the reason that I guess we haven't done our Create Unknown t-shirts yet, even though we have 2 designs, is that you and I are both really particular about the garments. Mm-hmm. And guess what? The nice garments are more expensive than the cheap ones.
They're really expensive. They're really expensive unless you're making like 50,000 of them.
Yeah. They're more expensive. You have to work with very specific companies that will even bother with them. Because guess what? A lot of companies don't even bother because they don't care. They don't care what their customers are wearing. They don't care what kind of plastisol ink they're dropping on these shirts. They just want to get them out the door. And that doesn't appeal to me. I don't work that way. I want to make sure that it is the nicest thing available. And that was the process with Represent. I flat out was like, I want the nicest shirt that you will print on. I want the nicest hoodies that you will print on. And before I even sign a contract or say yes to any of this, I want you to send me those samples. Because I'm sorry, I'm not going to take your word for it. I want to feel them and I want to wear them myself because it's a subjective thing. You could say this is really nice and then I get it and I hate it. So that's what I did. I was like, you need to send me samples just so I can even approve what these shirts are. And I went through that process and I was really happy. It turned out that a couple of my favorite shirts that I wear that aren't, these shirts were the same exact garment, or the same exact blend, and were the same exact type of shirt. So when I received these, I was like, oh, I already know that I love these shirts because they're kind of stretchy. They're not, they're really soft, but they're kind of stretchy. And I don't know, like the way that they're cut. You know what I hate? Boxy shirts. I'm not going to call anybody out, but there's a pretty well-known company whose shirts that I saw a few months ago in person for the first time. Oh my gosh. They were the exact opposite of this and exact opposite of any type of shirt I would wear. It was like a square. It was like a hard square. It was like wearing a square canvas. Like I would never wear that shirt.
When you started talking about that garment, that particular garment, and you selected it, you got the samples. You talked to me about it, and like this is the level of what goes into it. So are you happy with it? Like how does that work? We put another layer of checking, like basically to get a second and third opinion. I bought two of those, one for me and one for Maura, so that like we could get a girl's opinion on wearing this shirt as well. We just bought blanks from this company on that model so that we would know what the cotton felt like. And when it came in the mail, I was like, I hadn't told Maura about it, and I was like, well, this package is for you, and you have to wear this for 4 days straight.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, I think it was on Friday. And it was right before we left for the Italy trip. I was like, can you just wear this all weekend and then a day or two after that? And then tell Kevin what you think. I'll do the same thing. But it's just good to have another body testing the thing out. And I think it was 100% across the board that this was extremely soft. It does have a little bit of stretch in a good way. It feels very much like the nice tri-blend shirts. Like it's super comfortable. So that's important though, that that you really feel the thing and live in the thing so that you know what it's going to be like when somebody gets it. Are they going to be excited to wear this every time it's clean? Are they going to wear it when it's not clean just because it's so awesome that it's better dirty than other shirts are clean? But that's a good thing. And you do all of those before you pull the trigger on production and making that happen. So that was a big part. And then there's the pricing issue. I mean, when you tell them, I want the best shirt you can print on, I want the best hoodie you can print on, the price has to go up, right? I mean, what did they say to that?
Yeah, the price goes up. So then they ask you, the way that it works, like, I'll just tell you, like, very straightforward. The price goes up, and then they ask you if you want to then increase the sale price to make up for that difference in price so that your margin is the same. And I told them no. I was like, I don't want these to be super expensive. I want them to be super nice because I want them to be super nice. But I don't necessarily really want customers to have to pay for that, for my idiosyncrasies or like my perfectionism, just because I'm crazy about what type of garment or what type of t-shirt this is. I don't necessarily feel right making the customer pay for that, because quite honestly, I don't know if I'm just crazy about this. I don't know. Like, I don't know how many people feel this way about the different shirts that they have. I would love to know, in the comments or in the Discord, if people get this kind of nuanced about, well, I never wear this shirt because it's really hard and I hate the ink. Yeah, I don't know if I'm like overly sensitive or what, or if people just don't even think about it. If they're just like, yeah, I just throw it on and a shirt's a shirt. Well, if a shirt's a shirt, then I don't want somebody to pay an extra $2 because, like, I'm a crazy person about getting, like, luxury t-shirts.
Even so, well, number one, I think what you just described is one of the few universal truths. I think everybody is a freak about t-shirts.
Really?
Everybody wants. I think so. I am. I mean, I have a rack that's probably 6 feet long, and my t-shirts are on it, ordered in rainbow coloring. Okay. So it goes like, there's this total like continuum of colors with all the t-shirts. Within that, I know which ones are really soft and what the go-tos are. That's, I don't know how many are on that rack, but it's got to be probably, it's probably 125, because I'm thinking between 100 and 150 of all the colors. And I know actually that there are probably 15 that I really like to wear and wear a lot. And I know that because I know what I pack when I go places. You can only bring so many shirts. Like, that's how you rank your t-shirts. Okay. Go on a trip and then see what you consistently decide to put in your suitcase. And whatever that is, like, those are your top 5, your top 10, whatever it is. Right. So I'm extremely aware of what those qualities are. And I like soft and light. One of my favorites is one that I picked up for 25 cents at a Salvation Army type store in Boston in the summer of 2002, summer of 2002. Really good quarter. I've gotten a lot of value out of that quarter I spent that.
Well, what is it?
It says Boston. It was a concert shirt from a thing at the Paradise. And if anybody knows Boston, the Paradise Rock Club is on Commonwealth Ave. And they host shows. It's like a smallish venue where Boston becomes Allston on the Green Line, on the B train. And so, yeah, the Paradise has been there a long time. And it says Boston rocks against drugs. And on the back, something about you know, the paradise in the event. It's just a black t-shirt with white letters, but like I could read a book through it. It's so thin now that you truly can see all the way through this black shirt. So it's on its way out, but that's one where, especially when I go to hot places, like I wore it, I packed it for Armenia because I knew it was going to be like 38,000 biblical degrees in Armenia. So I took the lightest shirt ever. Well, that's in my top 5 until it completely disintegrates. That's important. And I put a lot of thought into what shirts I wear and bring and don't. I think that's pretty common. And if somebody told me they didn't, I wouldn't believe them. I mean, I'm so convinced here that I think they would just flat out be lying.
Yeah, but I want to raise a little bit of a contention here because here I am thinking that I'm crazy about my t-shirts. And meanwhile, you are like color coding them and hanging them on hangers. And that's like 10 times crazier than me. So I really genuinely want to hear from the audience on this one, how seriously you take your t-shirts, how seriously you think about your rotation of shirts. Because I love the packing for a trip litmus test. That's perfect. That is a perfect litmus test of these are, you know, the 5 shirts. These are the 5 shirts that I'm going to bring with me on my trip. Like those are your shirts. That's your top 5. And I would love to hear from people what makes them decide that, whether it's what's on it, how comfortable they are, or some combination of the two. Because for me, it is some combination of the two. It's, you know, what's on the shirt, but also how comfortable it is. Because believe me, there are a lot of shirts that I have where the print is really cool or it represents something that I really like a band. Yeah. But the garment is just like wearing sandpaper. And it's like the last thing. It's not in my top 5. It can't be because of that. So I hope that this is a nice insight into the amount of detail that can go into this. I don't know what level of detail a lot of other creators go into when creating t-shirts or creating merch. I think it probably varies wildly, but this was the only way that I wanted to do it. And I saw Casey Neistat recently was on the H3 podcast, and he had mentioned something about how he regrets not doing merch a long time ago because he felt too precious about it. He felt like, well, if I am going to do Casey Neistat merch, then I want it to be to the level of like a Teddy Fresh, to the level of like its own clothing brand. And he said in that interview that he regrets that now, that he was too precious about the idea and that he probably should have just put something together for his fans because they wanted it. And I found that really interesting. I found it compelling to hear him talk about kind of his regret on that, because I do think that there is wisdom in that we all can get too precious about making these decisions, and that can be a bit crippling. And sometimes you just need to pull the trigger on things and on ideas and then kind of develop it as you go along rather than toiling over, well, unless this is the perfect thing, then I'm not going to do anything. And sometimes that's the right decision, but sometimes it can be the wrong decision.
I think too that anybody who wants to go this route wants to make a thing. And to be honest, it extends well beyond clothing and merch and stuff like that too. Like this is a decent mindset for a lot of creative things. But going through the process that you just explained. So to summarize this, it was have a good, meaningful idea. You did that by creating a collection of designs that satisfied the things that you wanted to see. So elevating those math concepts, having a good aesthetic. But you had a purpose, right? And then the second thing was checking a few boxes on quality in a way that you were happy with. It wouldn't be necessary for everybody to have the top quality shirts, maybe that's not a fit for everybody, but it's a great fit for you and it matters to those designs. But that's the second stage. And the third stage is pretty much what's the lowest price that I can give this to people for, given the things in steps 1 and 2. I think that's really important. And I like that you did that here, because you easily could have passed on the extra costs on quality. You easily could have thrown several more, another $5 on that shirt, and the people who really wanted it still would have gotten it. So that's easy to do. But I think the right move there is, how can I do this in as friendly a way as possible, while still making sure that I hit those first 2 things. So that quick progression, I mean, like you're saying, you can stress about this stuff endlessly, making sure you get every detail right. And there are a lot of details that we didn't talk about with shirts. Like, is the brand, if it's not tagless, is it an easily removable tag that somebody can pull off themselves without scissors? Or do you have to cut it? If it has to be cut, you can actually take a shirt manufacturer and pay them 80 cents a shirt, whatever it is on quantity, to remove that tag for you. How many colors are you going to have? Are you going to print on the sleeves? Are you going to have the little tag thing on the side, the hem tag on the bottom side of the shirt? Are they going to come in little bags, plastic bags? Or are they just going to get stuffed in and folded? When that does happen, are you going to fulfill them yourself? Or is the production company going to do that? Is it print on demand straight up? Is it reaching a threshold of orders? If so, when do they ship? Is shipping free? Do you do international shipping? I mean, I can go on, like, I'm probably less than halfway to all the factors that go in. And we really glossed over how you selected the actual shirt, because you made it easy on both representing yourself by saying, give me the very best. Mm-hmm. Like, if you tried to get something in the middle or a little below or a certain feel to it, which is sometimes important with certain prints and designs, then all of a sudden you're deciding between, potentially 8 or 10 different garments. But we tried to give an overview here of what the process is, but it's deep. It runs deep, and it's very, very easy to get in the weeds on this. But if you have that vision and satisfy the vision, then hit whatever quality you need, and then have a price point and distribution that is as friendly as possible to the audience, given your design and the quality, you're in pretty good shape.
Well, and to me, at the end of the day, it's not like I'm out here e-begging to, like, buy my merch or I can't pay my rent. Like, it's not about that. And that was another reason why I never did merch before. It's like, look, I don't mean to be disparaging about that, because a lot of people who I'm friends with, they do need the sales from their merch, and it helps them a lot. And that's great. Yeah. And if you can support them through that, you get something out of your support for them, and, they get something for creating the great content that you enjoy. And it's totally awesome. But knowing how the business works, you really have to sell a tremendous amount of merch for it to be a business, and for it to be anything kind of beyond almost giving back to your fans in a lot of ways, or just giving them, again, I also just feel like it's really less about Vsauce 2 and more about people who like math and want to take it seriously. Mm-hmm. I just posted the store the other day on Facebook, just for friends and family. And I had one person who I'm just an old acquaintance with, who, I don't talk to anymore, who apparently is a math teacher now, and I didn't even know that, who was really, really excited about the math shirts. They were like, oh my gosh, I'm totally going to get one of these. I'm a math teacher, and this will be a really cool math shirt for me to wear. Mm-hmm. And another friend of mine who works in a school, who tagged a math teacher in the post that was like, you got to check these out. And
That's cool.
to me, that's what's really exciting about this concept is maybe you don't watch YouTube. Maybe you don't get YouTube. You certainly don't get Vsauce 2, and you don't want to see me like messing around with a cardboard cutout of Keanu Reeves or like a latex Yoda. That's cool. Like that's fine for the people who like that. They get to like that. But I feel like with woven math and with this new idea, for math enthusiasts and for math teachers to be able to wear a shirt that's not a joke, that actually takes math seriously and shows that math can be this cool thing, that to me is what's really exciting about doing this. Is I feel like, as absolutely grandiose as it sounds, it is doing something kind of for the first time, at least I haven't seen it before, that I think will make people feel good.
2 questions before we jump through the wormhole. The first one is, are you able to say what the next design is going to be about? Are you comfortable leaking that, or do you even have one? Do you have one ready to go? Or, because I know you said that you want to build this out into quite a few designs. Is there a third one that's in development?
There is a third one in development. I don't want to say what it is just in case. You never know what happens. Maybe I'll get a better idea. Or
is it based on a video?
It's based on
a different concept.
It's based on a Vsauce 2 video. Yes.
Okay. That's cool.
So
the second question,
just scroll through the uploads and and let me know what your guess is. How about that?
That would be cool. And the last question is, you were talking about different forms of kind of raising money through the channel. When do we get access to the Vsauce 2 premium Snapchat?
Oh my God. Can I tell you, I'm such a boomer that I don't even really know what that is. So like, I don't get Snapchat. Premium Snapchat is like you pay to access somebody's Snapchat. And then I'm assuming the reason for that is that they're naked on the other side. Is that the point of this?
I suppose there's got to be, I'm sure there are people who are not naked, but there's got to be some form of exclusive content that somebody values enough to pay to see. So I don't know precisely what that, you know what though, if I were like 16, I would, and I went to a big school, which I didn't, you didn't, but let's say like we'd gone to a school that had like 6,000 kids in it, you know, like one of those huge high schools, that I saw on TV. Imagine if you had a premium Snapchat for like trigonometry and you just like put the answers to every night's homework on the premium Snapchat.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that a good idea? Is it?
No,
oh God, I think
that's horrible. I can't believe that. That's like the worst idea.
Well, but I was thinking like, what's a non-pornographic way to legitimately use premium Snapchat?
Cheating. Cheating and plagiarism. So still nefarious.
If you
So still no good reason. No like positive reason.
All right. So I guess there's no Vsauce 2 premium Snapchat in the works then. No?
Let me tell you something about this is my Snapchat story. A couple of years ago, maybe it was 3 years ago now. Maybe it was the first Curiosity box. I don't know. We sent a Curiosity box to Hank Green.
Okay.
And Hank tweeted that he was going to be unboxing the Curiosity box on his Snapchat. So I downloaded Snapchat. I made an account. I found his account. I think I watched his unboxing. And beyond that, I didn't understand it. And I deleted it that day. So my experience with Snapchat lasted all of probably an hour.
Wow. And it was about you.
And it was about me.
In a roundabout way. Yeah. Not entirely you, but I mean a thing that you were doing.
Yeah, I wanted to see what he thought of the Curiosity Box. So I downloaded it, watched his thing, didn't get it, and then... But I mean, everybody downloads Snapchat because it's about them at some point, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, I don't think very many people watch... Do they call them stories on Snapchat? I don't use it either.
Probably snaps.
Snappy chatties.
Chatters.
Chat. No, it's one platform that I've just it's just missed me. You know, I'm not the most like visual guy anyway, so even Instagram is tough. But yeah, I imagine most of the things you see on Snapchat aren't like explicitly about you or the things that you do. So
no, right.
your 1 hour on Snapchat was the most vain, like in terms of percent vanity.
Well, I mean, it was about my business. It wasn't about me per se. You know, I wanted to see how Hank liked the Curiosity Box. It wasn't like I was watching Hank watch my video. That would have been pretty weird.
Well, the other thing here is that Hank is awesome. I mean, it's not like you were watching something and focusing on you. Like watching Hank do something for an hour is going to be fun and cool. So that's not bad. But no, I guess, well, we haven't ruled out premium Snapchat for the Create Unknown. So maybe that's something that we should start thinking about.
Yeah, we haven't ruled it out, but we haven't ruled it in either. It's that's for sure.
It's definitely wormhole time, isn't it?
Yeah, let's go through the wormhole. We have some questions from you guys, from our patrons that we need to hit. What's a teaser? What are we gonna hit?
What are we gonna hit? Let's see. I'm trying to think of the specifics on this. It may have been Jeff. It was either Jeff Davis or Andrew asked what your best. It was either best or earliest childhood memory was, and I'm intrigued by this. I kind of want the answer to this question.
Oh,
so we got a couple about videos, and then there are a couple that are like that.
Okay.
So I'm excited here, and these questions are so good because I get to sit back and like be a creep as you answer some of these. I'm excited.
Yeah, because I don't even know the answer to that one, so I'm gonna have to think about it. I have the worst memory. I don't remember anything ever. So yeah, I'm going to have to try really hard to try to remember anything. So if you want to watch me struggle to remember, then join us over at patreon.com/thecreateunknown, where we will be doing that right now. For everybody else, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you, Space Cowboys. Thanks for listening to The Create Unknown. There's more episode waiting for you, but to keep listening, sign up at patreon.com/thecreateunknown. You could hear the rest of our conversation as well as unlock the ad-free feed, get exclusive content, join the Idea Baby Gang, and more.